Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and a bolt action video with a bit of a difference. Now, back in September, after Bolt Action 3rd edition was released, I did a video about using the new list building mechanics. I demonstrated a couple of army lists and how the force compositions go together now in 3rd edition. Now, if you've seen the channel around for a while, you notice there's a lot of bolt action content on the channel. But it's all at 28mm. That's the scale I mostly play bolt action in. However, I also play it at 15mm scale. And I found this provides a very different kind of game. I keep the ranges the same, so all the movement and the distances are kept the same. But I've just found that there's a completely different tactical perspective from playing bolt action at 15mm. And so what I thought I'd do in this video is use my 15mm collection of British and German to use the new 3rd edition list builder mechanics to see what I can do with my 15mm armies. They're slightly different to my 28mm ones. They've got, you know, a few more interesting bits and pieces, vehicles, lots of team weapons, etc. What I want to actually do is build these two lists and then use them in a game of bolt action of 15mm just to see how they play out. It's going to be kind of interesting. Like I say, they're a bit different compared to the 28mm collection. But let's move on to the first army, which is going to be the British list. Now, if you've seen my previous video about army list building in 3rd edition, you'll notice that it's markedly different to 2nd edition. So the sort of reinforced platoon has gone. The way the forces are made up these days in 3rd edition is multiple platoons. You start off with your core rifle platoon, add bits and pieces to that. This unlocks other platoons like armour platoons, heavy weapons, engineering, and you just pick and choose what type of platoon you want to add to that rifle platoon, and you move along. If you want to do another rifle platoon, you get the same options. So what I'm going to be doing with this particular force, it's going to be based around one rifle platoon. I'm going to add a few bits and pieces, and then a second platoon will be added to that. So let's start off with the HQ. As you'll see, they're based sort of odd. These are actually based for games of O group, but they work really well at this basing for games of bolt action at 15mm as well. In O group, they're quite abstract. That will represent, you know, many men. For bolt action, it's 1-to-1, so that's two chaps as part of an infantry section, or a HQ section in this case, and there is the HQ leader on a single base. It's quite easy for sort of housekeeping, for keeping track of casualties, etc. The unit strength. I just use little dice next to the section. It's not very obtrusive, so they don't really, you know, clutter up the battlefield. And it can be played individually based like this. I just like it like this because it's easy to move. I think it just looks a bit better. So we're going to start off with this as the HQ. So I've taken it as a veteran first lieutenant with 2 assistants, and that comes in at 65 points. So that is the first choice for our rifle platoon. So what I want to do with the rifle platoon, I want quite a few sections in there. So I've chosen 3 infantry sections. So I'm going to add these now. So again, these are based, 2 to a base, and then on one base we've got the NCO shouting as normal, and we've also got the LNG option there as well on a single base. What I'll do, once I've put all of these on here, I will outline exactly what the composition is. They're all identical, these infantry sections. I think it'll give a really good sort of base to work from. 3 infantry sections, lots of boots on the ground. So there's the 3rd section. So these are all being taken as regular. And the squad or the section composition is exactly the same. So we've got 10 men We've got the NCO has got an SMG for 4 points. 15 points gives us an LMG. This is a total of 119 points. Times 3 is 357 points for those three sections. So we've got options now. We can add to this platoon, or we can move on to open up an additional platoon. I've added two interesting things to this platoon. First off is I've added a PIAT team, a bit of anti-tank. That's being taken as regular, which is 40 points, and then I decided to take a veteran forward observation officer. This can either be sort of artillery or air force, depending on what your requirements are. But he's taken as a veteran. I want a bit more survivability out in the field. So that's two additions to this rifle platoon. You can add more sections. You can add a medic, a sniper. I'm going to keep this as it is. I've got choices now about what platoons I can open up from this rifle platoon. Now I've decided, because it's a 15mm game and I've got quite a few 50mm tanks and vehicles painted up, I'm going to go to town on my armour. So I'm adding a armoured platoon. Now this is going to be commanded by this Sherman. It's going to be a Sherman 5. And now, because the Sherman doesn't have the command special rule, you got to pay 10 points to make it the platoon commander. So I've done that. So again, all of these are regular. So regular Sherman 5 with a command rule is 205 points. We'll put him there. We can still add more to this platoon. So what we're going to do now is add two of my favourite tanks. Well, it's one tank, but two of them, and it's the Churchill. I absolutely love the Churchill. I've got one for my 28mm British. I've got two for my 15mm collections. I just like to see armour on the table. I think it just looks really, really good. So again, these are regular Churchills, 250 points. Times 2 is 500 points, and that gives us some more additions. I could leave it there, but I want to bump the points up. I'm aiming for 1500 points for this force, or as close as I can get it to 1500. So I've still got options. I could add another platoon, but what I'm going to do is just to add to the armour platoon. Now I fancy, again, this is just more rule of cool than anything, because I don't often get a chance to use these at 28mm, but I'm going to use them at 15, and it's some Daimler armoured cars. There we go. Again, just something to augment and support the armoured platoon. Some zippy little armoured cars. So these are regular. They've been upgraded to the Daimler armoured car, and these come in at 230 points for the two. So there we go. That is the British force at 15mm. So it comes in a total of 1,487 points, so very close to the 1,500 that I was aiming for, and it's a total of 10 order dice. Now I think it's not a bad little force, this. I mean, it's got plenty of infantry for taking objectives. They've got an LMG in there, so there's going to be some fire. We've got the forward observer. You can bring down some pain from above, and we've got the PIAT, which is just a bit more additional anti-tank to the force. But I think the real mainstay is going to be the armour platoon. I think with the Sherman and the two Churchills, there's some heavy hitting going on there, and the armoured cars for interference. I think it's going to be quite an interesting list to run. Like I said previously, what I'm planning to do is use this list against the German list that's coming up in a game of 15mm bolt action, just to see how this works how 15mm works using the third edition rules, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that is the British force. Like I said, 1,487 points, 10 order dice, all regular except for the forward observation officer and the platoon HQ, which are veteran. So hopefully, I think I'll perform quite well. Like I said, there's quite a lot of dice and firepower in there. So yeah, looking forward to it. So up next will be their German counterparts. So with the British force all built and pointed up, it's time to build their opponents. There's going to be the German equivalent they're going to be taking on in this game of bolt action. So I'm going to talk through what I've got in this platoon. It's slightly different, and there's more platoons available, and there's a smattering of interesting units in this one. But let's start off with the HQ. Here we go. So this time slightly different. We've got a veteran Oberleutnant with MAM. Just the one rather than the two that the British took. So that's a total of 52 points. As you can see, they're individually based. I've got a few chaps based individually for games of Chain of Command. But yeah, the basing is very much of a muchness. You base how you want to base. So that is the HQ. So very much like the British, I want a fair chunk of infantry on the table. So again, I'm adding 3 infantry sections. So let's put those on there, and again I'll go through the composition. These are all being taken as regular, like so. I mean, when I play at 28mm, I do like to take small veteran lists, but because I've got quite a large 15mm collection, I can take regular across the board. Give me a lot more options. And again, as you'll see, these are based very much like the British. So we've got the NCO on a base like that. We've got the LMG, and then we've got the remaining 6 chaps on bases by themselves. So how are these made up? Well, very much like the British opposition. So 10 man. The NCO has got an SMG, and we've added an LMG in there as well. So the points are the same. It's 357 points total for those 3 infantry sections. Now this is where it gets a bit interesting. I decided to go for definitely the rule of cool here, and add a few things that I wouldn't normally take at 15mm, at 28mm rather. So the first thing I did was I've gone for a heavy weapons platoon. So what does this comprise of? Well, this should be interesting, because I'm taking not 1, not 2, but 3 medium machine gun teams. Now with the German special rule, that's going to be a lot of firepower being thrown out, and with 3 of them it's going to be good tactically, and you'll be able to shut down sort of advances, fire lanes, etc. And I'm liking how medium and heavy machine guns work in 3rd edition as well. So I thought this will be an ideal opportunity to test out something. I've never taken 3 medium machine guns in a game of 28mm bolt action before, so this should be quite kind of interesting. All platoons need a platoon HQ. So again, this is for the medium machine gun or the heavy weapons platoon. These are platoon leader, regular lieutenant. So that comes in at 180 points. So already with the 3 infantry sections, with the 3 medium machine guns, and the German special rule for rolling more dice for LMGs and MMGs, there's a lot of firepower on the tabletop as it is at the moment. So what next? What do we want to add next? Again, this is a case of adding things that I wouldn't normally take in 28mm. So we're going for an artillery platoon. And what we do, I'm going to pay the points to take anti-tank guns. Again, not 1, but 2 anti-tank guns. So these have been upgraded to be Pak 40s. So they're a super heavy anti-tank gun. I take a Pak 40 sometimes in my German army, just the 1. Yeah, that's 2 is going to be interesting for anti-tank capability. These things are nasty. They're great at what they do, which is taking out opposition tanks. So 2 should be a difficult proposition for the British armour in the upcoming game. So let's pop the Pak 40s there, and again they need a platoon HQ. So again, regular lieutenant, and he goes there. So that comes in at 230 points. That's regular, 100 points apiece for the Pak 40 and 30 points for the regular lieutenant HQ. 230 points. Now on to, again, more rule of cool. And who doesn't like tanks in games of bolt action? Well, I've got 1 tank and 2 tank destroyers. What I've done is I've used the remaining points to open up an armoured platoon. Now this is going to be led by this chap. So this is a Panzer IV. It's not a command vehicle, doesn't have the command special rule. So I've had to add 10 points to this to make it the HQ for the armoured platoon. I've also added an additional 10 points to add Scherzen, so the armoured skirts on the Panzer IV. So that is the Panzer IV, he is the platoon commander. And then my favourite, possibly my favourite vehicle of bolt action, 2 Stug 3s. Absolutely love these vehicles. They look cool, they play really well, they're nasty when it comes to taking out opposition armour. I think with the British list being quite armour heavy, these might need to be taken and have their work cut out for them. So 3 Stug 3s, again points wise, taking them as regular. I've had an additional 10 points per Stug for taking Scherzen, because who doesn't like Scherzen on Stugs? So that whole platoon comes in at a total of 450 points. So where does this leave us with points wise for the whole of the army? So we're up to 1,464 points and 12 order dice. I can't find anything else that I can sort of shoehorn into this list, so I'm going to leave it at that. A total of, like I say, 1,464 points, 12 order dice. Should be really, really interesting. What I found in building these lists using my 15mm collection is, because I own a lot more 15mm stuff than 28mm stuff, it's quicker to paint, let's be honest. I can put together really interesting lists like this. It's going to be interesting moving forward as well, just to use the other stuff that I've got, more armour, add more infantry. The lists make it possible now to come up with some really unique and individual lists. But that's where we are. There's the 2 lists, the 2 British ones, and like I say, it's been interesting using the list building mechanics, not on my 28mm collection, to using the 15mm. And these, I think these 2 lists are going to be good to run. So what's going to happen next is, at some point in the near future, these guys will be on the tabletop facing off against the British in a game of 15mm bolt action. And yeah, looking forward to it immensely. Well, I hope you found that interesting. Again, just a slight take on my normal bolt action content, dropping to 15mm rather than 28. But hopefully it gave you an insight of using the small scales and the new list builder mechanics in 3rd edition to come up with some, like I say, interesting lists using bits and pieces you wouldn't normally take. I mean, there's no way in 2nd edition I'd have been able to take 2 Stugs and a Panzer IV in a list, or 2 Pak 40s. So having access to those additional units, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, if you've got any comments or questions about this or wargaming in general, just pop them down below and I'll certainly respond to all comments and questions. But as always, thanks for watching, do take care, may your dice roll well, and I'll catch you all in the next video. So bye bye for now.